Hello fellow photographers. Today we're going to be trying to sharpen an image using Topaz Labs. Okay, so I've been seeing a lot of ads lately popping up for Topaz Labs denoise or sharpen programs, and I'll be honest, I just tend to scroll past those ads pretty quickly thinking that the results they're getting, there's no way that it's actually going to work. Okay, so now my research has made me a little more confident that it might actually work. Confident to the point where I went ahead and I bought their photography bundle. Now I have not used it yet. I've opened it long enough to just to log in. I haven't put any images through it yet, so we're going to be kind of learning this together. So let's jump right into the computer. All right, so here in Bridge, I've got this picture here that my sister actually took of a guy doing a trick on a motorcycle. Now let's open it up in Photoshop. She's already done all the editing to the image, so we're not going to change any of that. So let's just leave all these raw settings alone. We'll just open it up into Photoshop. And as you can see here, it is very blurry. There's a lot of motion blur, just a lot going on that just wasn't captured. But the concept of the picture is actually really cool. So we're going to see if Topaz Labs can bring out some detail. Okay, so when I installed Topaz Labs, it should have installed a plugin into Photoshop for me to be able to get into this. So it's supposed to be under Filter, then here's Topaz Labs, and we're going to sharpen it. It's going to open up a program, and let's make it full screen. And I guess we'll just kind of see what it does. Let's look at his head, because that's always the main focal point. So apparently this here, based on what I was reading, it'll give you a kind of automatically detect what is going to be best. This here is a masking, I believe, and I like the masking it shows. It looks like it did well. Yeah, still kind of learning as we go. So I've never opened this program, just kind of looking at it to see what it does. Can I zoom out? Here we are. Large file size warning. May slow down and updating. Okay, cool. So apparently there's 4 different toggles you can do. I'm not a fan of the side by side, but this is the one that I've kind of been seeing stuff about. You can kind of drag and see what the updates are. Because it is AI, apparently it's going to be a very slow process. So here in real time, obviously this is still updating and is going a little slow, but this here is apparently the updated sharpness of it. I mean, with that motion blur, there is a little bit of funkiness. I'm not exactly sure what his helmet was supposed to be. Let's come over here and take a look at the bike. What am I getting from the bike? I'm going to change it to motion blur, very blurry. And we'll just let it update. I don't know what that is that's adding. Alright, so this image could have just been way too blurry for it to really do much. I will say it did a little bit right here in the center that I'm actually happy with. Brought out some of the details on the bike right there. It's giving a little bit of a weird effects. Yeah, it didn't really do too much to the sparks. But it did okay to the bike. Gives me a slightly sharper feel. Not a whole lot. Let's go ahead and just up this more to a drastic amount just to see what it does. It does kind of look a little fake. Just kind of looking at it and I don't know. Okay, so I didn't set this image up at all for any kind of non-destructive editing. If I wanted to do that, then I could have probably converted it to a smart object first and then done the filters from there. But I'm going to go ahead and try this denoise filter. There's not a whole lot of noise in this image. Maybe it'll do an okay job. Right there. Okay, so I see some noise there. So it says standard updated. And yeah, it does a great job of clearing up some noise there. Let's look at it full screen, see how that looks. Yeah, I'd say noise reduction, it does a really good job, and I didn't even play with a whole lot of the settings. Let's take that back into Photoshop. So now zooming in, I see no noise. That's pretty good. Got a little bit of sharpness, but as you can tell, this is all still very blurry. I mean, I think there was just too much motion there to do anything with his head. I did notice some weird effects that came along with this. Let's see here. Let me see if I can reopen the original. So that's what the original looked like right there, blurry with a lot of grain. The new one, there's no grain. There's some detail, but like some of this stuff is just a little off. Alright, so now the one thing that I'm curious about here is, let's go back to this this original here with no edits in it. Let's see if we can use Topaz Labs non-destructively. So we're going to convert this to a smart object, and then now we're going to go to the filter, and we'll start with the sharpen. I know we did motion blur. It actually left our settings the same, so that's actually kind of cool. So it kind of left our stuff the same. So let's go ahead and apply it. And yeah, I do have a smart filter here. I don't know why I tried doing some stuff there. Not a fan of that. I guess I didn't pay too much attention to my mask. Because what is that? I'm going to start fresh with this. Alright, so we made it a smart object. We're going to go into filter. We're going to go to Topaz Labs, and we'll start with sharpen. Make sure the select is on so we don't select it on the whole image. Let's make sure the mask is on, sorry. Looks like it did a decent job. Let's refine it a little bit, because I kind of want to go in and add these sparks right here. And as we can see right here, it looks like it did. I can toggle the sharpness on and off. Let's zoom in. So off and on. Alright, let's go ahead and add the denoise filter as well. And it looks like it stuck with my latest settings my last settings as well, as far as I can tell. Seems to have gotten that noise cleared up quite a bit right there. So we'll just go ahead and apply that. And now we have both of these toggled on as filters, and the one we did previously above it, and it looks about the same. So we'll just go ahead and delete that, and then we will save this as a PSD. Alright, so now the other night I went to the beach to take astrophotography pictures. Before it got dark though, I was taking some pictures of some birds that were there on the beach. And obviously with the birds moving fast and me just kind of getting up on them quickly, I had a few that just came out not that great. So I'm going to play with these two that I just gave 1-star ratings and forgot about, and see what we can do with them. So we'll start off by giving it some editing. Alright, so we got some quick editings. They're both still very blurry, but let's open them up in Photoshop and see how those come out. First thing we're going to do is convert it to a smart object. Let's go to filter and sharpen and see what it comes up with. Now the most important feature is going to be its face. Okay, we're going to let it go ahead and select its stuff. Whatever it thinks is supposed to be best. It is AI, so it should be a smart program. This is what it came up with. Okay, I do like how they all move together at the same time. And we'll just see if any of these get us anything decent. As of right now, we've got nothing. Let's see here, if we boost that up. We'll just go 100% on all of them. See how they do. Well, I did say 100%, even though I'm having doubts about these two. And we'll just kind of wait for a second and see what it does. Alright, so I'll be honest, looking at these 4 versions, none of them are really jumping out at me as they did a great job. So we're going to go ahead and cancel that, close without saving. And like I thought earlier, I'm just going to go ahead and assume this picture is a lost cause. But let's try this one. This one, there's not a whole lot of motion blur. There's a little bit. It's just, it's out of focus. I didn't quite focus on him quick enough, or her, sorry, as it was flying by. So let's convert it to a smart object, and let's take it into sharpen and see what it can do with a picture that's not quite as bad. Well, that's giving me something for detail. I don't know what that is. Doesn't look like a bird, but it's giving me something. Alright, so it definitely takes this image. It does something. It brought out some details in some of the feathers. I'm still just not really sold on this image either. It definitely had some ability to bring out some detail there, but not enough to make the picture look good. So we're going to go ahead and cancel this one also. Alright, this one's not that bad. Let's go ahead and open it up. I do know it's a little bit soft, so let's just see if it can make it a little sharper. So maybe if it's a picture that's only mildly affected, it can do a decent job with. It gives me some weird effects here, so let's turn this down quite a bit. And the image isn't very noisy, but let's just see what this does. So I'm getting some detail back. Some of it's giving me some weird effects here. Definitely added. Well, no, I guess it was pretty noisy. Yeah, I guess looking at it, did an okay job. I added some stuff that I don't like, but I want to try one more thing. So we'll go ahead and apply this. And then let's go ahead and add their denoising feature. Alright, so it definitely cleared up some of the noise for me. Now, zooming in, she looks a little funky. Like there's some weird stuff. The before and the after, I don't know. I'm not completely sure I like everything it did. That being said, great thing about Photoshop is there's such thing as masks. So I can invert this mask, and let's say there were certain areas I did like how it worked. I can just go through, color them up. That way maybe I can get just some of the details back. So it does an okay job. I'd say if you take it in with a few other things, it does make her eyes look a little funky. Yeah, I guess it's an okay tool. I don't know if I would recommend anybody to go out and spend $200 on it just yet. Maybe after a little more playing with it and seeing if I can make it work on some other images. As of right now, these two programs I'm not completely sold on. I mean, sold enough that I bought it, but I do want to try one more. There is a enlarging program. So I'm going to go to one of the images I have that I did intentionally shrink for my website. So let's see if I can make it larger. Let's actually see what it can do with one of with a thumbnail. All right, so it's called Gigapixel. It's a 200 by 200. If we go 4 times, it says it's going to make it 800 by 800. All right, so the low resolution mask almost seems to be looking a little bit better. Just curiosity, let's take it into sharpen. See, some of this detail it's adding is just looking funky. Like coming over here and just looking at the original versus looking at what it does here. Okay, so as of right now, my decision about this product is that it's going to be decent for small features, small changes. Like if you're completely out of focus, kind of like they're showing you on their little ads, I don't see it bringing out any kind of detail that's not going to look just completely computer generated. I mean, I still need to play with this a little bit. Y'all have been watching me the entire time. I've fiddled around with this at all, so we'll just kind of see where it goes from here. See if I can get anything decent out of it in the future. But until next time, happy shooting. Try not to have to use a program like this if you can. It's best to try to get it proper in camera first. And if you have a picture where, you know, you got to play with it, then I say download the trial, see if you have better luck than me. I would say don't go right off the bat and purchase this. Now, the trial thing, from what I read, it will leave a watermark in the middle of your image or something, kind of making your image unusable. But you do have full features, so you can kind of see what it can do. I should have probably done that for this purpose instead of paying for it. But I just kind of want to see if it can do a little bit better for me. But until next time, happy shooting. Okay, so before I completely end this program, I do want to say one more thing about their denoising program. Of the 3 that came in this photography bundle, I would say that is by far the one that works the best. I didn't record myself doing this, but I did play with it one more time on a picture that was taken of my sister while she was taking pictures. But here, let's jump into Photoshop and take a look at both of them. So I've got the original image here as layer 1 on top, so that's what we're seeing. Obviously, this picture was taken at night, so it's very low light. So the person who took the picture used a very high ISO, so you get a lot of noise. And honestly, the noise kind of ruins this picture in a lot of ways. But taking it through the program, I was able to soften it up, and the picture actually comes out pretty decent now. The noise is cleared up. It cleared it up pretty well. I have no idea what's going on with her eye and her mouth here, but it looks like that was kind of original. Maybe not the eye part there. That might take a little bit more work to kind of clean up. But anyways, that's it for this video. Happy shooting, and I'll see you next week.